Welcome to Mesa Family History. In this segment, we will be discussing how to attach record hints. We're going to begin in James Frank Holrath's person page. You can see over here on the right-hand side, it says Research Help, and underneath it are these 3 entries, and they are identified by a blue icon. The blue icon indicates that these are record hints, and the fact that they're over here under Research Helps indicates that FamilySearch has decided there is about a 95% or better likelihood that this record actually does belong to James Frank Holrath. Just because it's over here on the right-hand side does not mean it is for sure his record, but what it does mean is that there is a high likelihood that it is his record. And what we want to do is take these records that have been indexed and we want to actually attach them over here to Frank Holrath. Right now, they're not attached. Currently, they just show that they could be attached. Once they get attached, it's almost like having a footnote or an endnote on a research paper that always remains with this person. So we're going to look at the first record hint. I'm going to go ahead and click on this blue icon, and it's going to bring up this card, and at the bottom, I will click Review and Attach. It comes into this source linker page. Now, something to note up here at the top, it is opened in a new tab. So on the left-hand side, I still have James's person page. On the right-hand side, I have source linker. On source linker, the left-hand side is the information that has been indexed. Somebody actually took information from Find a Grave. They entered it into the indexed system, and that is what we are seeing right here. Up here, you can see 2 links. The left is record, which is what we are seeing right here. The right is the actual image. When it says this, you can actually look at the image. So we're going to go to Find a Grave in just a moment and see what it shows about Frank Holrath. On the right-hand side, we have the information that came from the family tree. We have his name, we have his birth information, his death information, and his burial information. These are the pieces of information that apply to the indexed information on the left-hand side. As we scroll down here, it asks us for a reason as to why we want to attach this record. And once we click attach, this record from Find a Grave becomes a source under James Frank Holrath. So we are going to do that. However, before we do, I want to show you this image. So I'm going to click on the image. And it says, by clicking on the button below, you will be leaving FamilySearch, which is great. We want to go to Find a Grave. So I will click on this. And once again, it's going to open it in a new tab up here. So we have 3 tabs. When we come into Find a Grave, we can see some very cool things. We have his information about his headstone, his vital records information, but we also have an entry that somebody has entered explaining a few things about him. It shows that he married Frida in about 1908. It doesn't have an exact date. Sometimes it does. It shows that they had 4 children, that he later divorced, shows that he worked as a night watchman in the quarry, and it shows his children down here. So it's very useful to actually come into these sources or these records and take a look at what's here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this tab just so that we don't get confused. And we are back here on the source linker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and show the reason to attach this source. And I am just going to say shows his headstone and I'm going to say birth and death dates. Includes a short bio on him. Okay, and now I'm going to click attach. And you can see here it shows that he has been attached, or this record has been attached to him. I'm going to come up here into Source Linker at the top. I'm going to X out of this because I no longer need it. And now that I'm back in his page, I'm going to come to the top left and I'm going to hit refresh. And we can see that that source no longer shows up here on the right-hand side. If we come over here to sources, we have our details information, timeline information, and sources information. I'm going to click into here. And we can see that Find a Grave has been added right here to the top. So now we are going to click back into details up here on the left. And we're going to come back over here to Research Helps. so that we can look at attaching our next record hint. I'm going to go ahead and click on the blue icon, and I'm going to click Review and Attach. Now, one of the things we do want to do when we are in here, which I didn't mention perhaps as clearly as I should have with Find a Grave, is we want to verify that this information on the left-hand side that is coming from the index record truly is the correct person for our family tree individual. And so we need to analyze that. Here we see the names are the same, other than the fact that it is switched order, which is a very common thing to have happened. We have a birth year of 1886 and 1886 over here. As we scroll down, this is his wife from the census record. We can see over here on the right-hand side in our actual tree, he does have a wife by the name of Frida. We don't know when she was born, so we can't compare those dates, but this census record would be telling us when she is born. So if we decide this is correct, it's added information to the family tree, which is very nice. As we come down, we can see that it shows his first child, and that matches up. The year matches up. His second child, and we don't have information on years over here, but we can clearly see that based on the information in the tree and the information in the index record, that this is the correct person. So we're going to proceed forward with attaching it. Now, what I want to do is on the left-hand side, often there will be information in green. This is a slight shade of green that needs to be added over here to the right. What this does is when I click Add, from here on out, this residence information will show up in FamilySearch. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click Reason for attaching this source. So this is a census record. There's lots of things you could put in here, but I am going to say record shows the family relationships and dates, can't spell, and places we lived. And I'm going to click Attach. So that record has now been attached. I want to attach it to the rest of his family, and FamilySearch sets this up very nicely. This time, and the first time, when you have the very first record within this record, it doesn't allow you to click compare. I wish it would make it a little simpler. It just it has it open as you come in, and I will show you. When I click compare, it shows it just as it had with Frank J. Holrath originally. And now I'm comparing Frida L. Holrath with his wife over here, or with the information over here on the right. So I now have birth information and I want to add that in. So this record has been very helpful in adding information to our person in the tree. Now, I am just going to note here that I am in beta.FamilySearch. And in beta, I can come in and I can edit this information when it comes to the right. In FamilySearch itself, as of right now, and this is May of 2020, this is not available. However, it should be coming very soon, if not by the time this video comes out. I am also going to click Add down here under Residents, and it will do the same thing. So if I knew more information about the residents, maybe I knew that they were living in a specific place in Illinois right here, I could put that in. But as it stands, I'm just going to come down. It auto-fills in the information that I had before. All I'm going to do is change this to a she. Record shows family relationships and dates and places she lived, and I'm going to attach this record. Now I need to do the same thing for the rest of his children. So I'm going to click Compare. I'm going to add in that residence. It auto-fills the information. This was a he. So I'm going to do he. I could perhaps change it to they so that it applied to everybody. We will come down here to Mildred. I'm going to click Compare. I'm going to add in her birth information. And again, if I had more info, I could click in here and put that information in. At the moment, I don't, but if you did, this would be fantastic. I'm going to add the residence, and the reason for it is still here, but now we're going to change this back to she. I'm going to attach this information. We're going to go to the next child. We have Arthur, And everything is still matching up beautifully. We know we have the right information. We get to add his birth information. So this attaching the census record has been very valuable for us. And now we're going to add in his residence. We are going to alter this to be he. Record shows the family relationships and dates and places he lived. I'm going to click attach. So now we have attached the first 5 entries. This last entry is wonderful. This census record shows that he had a 4th child that we didn't know about. All I need to do is click add, and it is going to search the family tree and see if there is anybody out there that seems to match this individual. Now I am going to scroll down and take a look, and it doesn't seem to have found anybody out there. It wants you to decide whether they're living or deceased. Now, it is possible that she is still living, and I could click living if I did not know. I do know that this individual does exist and that this individual is deceased, so I am going to click deceased on this one. And I don't have the date information with me, and I am going to put, I should have looked this up before, but I'm going to put find a grave for my source and why I know this to be true. And I will have to go in and, of course, fill in her death information later. I'm going to go ahead and create a new person. And now she has come in on the right-hand side. I didn't have to type in any information. It just pulled the data directly from the census record. Now I'm going to click add the residence. And we see once again that we have our auto-filled information here. I'm going to change this to she, and I'm going to attach this record. So now we have attached this record of the census to everybody in the family tree. Once again, I do want to show up here on the left. We can go into the image and take a look at that census record. But I do want to note that up here, it did not open in a new tab. I could have right-clicked on it and opened it in a new tab, but I did not. And if we wait long enough here, this census record will come up. But for the purposes of this demo and moving forward, I'm not going to wait for it, and we're going to go ahead and just close this tab up here. Now we've come back into James Frank Holrath's person page. I'm going to click refresh. And we can see that the record or hint over here on the right-hand side is no longer here. Let me hit that down arrow there. It is no longer here because we have attached it. If we come into sources, we can now see that the census record has been attached. There is one more person that was in that record that we did not attach. It was his brother. And we will at some point want to go back and make sure we attach his brother. In fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to come into unfinished attachments over here on the right. And it brings up all of the matches that we already had. Now we have his brother that we want to attach. Now, how are we going to find his brother? If you notice up here, this right here, and right here, and right here, this shows your family tree and different relationships. So these are the parents, which were James and Frida. Here's the children from the family tree. Now, if we do siblings and we open that up over here, it will show the siblings of James Frank Holrath. And here we have Tony, Lena, Zebe, Arthur, and Andrew. And down here we have Arthur. Now what we need to do is drag Arthur up to be directly across from the Arthur here. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to pull it up until it's across from Arthur. I'm going to click compare, and we can see that the birth is pretty close, and we know that on census records they are easily up to 2 years off. So we feel very comfortable with all the information here. We're going to add in his residence. We will need to add in a reason since I had closed it. Shows relationship to brother, and dates and locations. And I'm just going to attach that record. So once again, we have our source linker in our right tab and James Holrath on our left. I'm going to go ahead and X out of this. I'm going to click refresh. And we can see that now under United States Census, it no longer says that we had left somebody unattached. If possible, we want to always make sure we make all the attachments that we possibly can on a record when we are attaching it. So I'm not going to do any more with James Frank Holrath due to time. I'm going to come back over here to details. But if I were actually working on this individual, I would now attach this next record here and then go in and do further research if I so chose. Thank you for joining us and good luck as you attach record hints to your individuals.